ladies and gentlemen, to Rebels TV, our first in-season edition of Rebels TV for 2018, and pretty good to have the footy back. Pardo, Phil Partington, AFL Victoria Talent Manager, joining me as he always does, and a big day at Mars Stadium on the weekend, but good to be back in action.
Yeah, huge day, Sean. Great crowd too, Sean. I couldn't believe the crowd that got to watch the Rebels and the Bendigo Pioneers play, and 2 out of 3 ain't bad, Sean.
I think I said that over the microphone at one stage during the day, that we got the meatloaf, but unfortunately we didn't get the clean sweep, and we're only a point away from it though, as we have a look at the happenings of the last weekend, and we start with the TAC Cup team and the scores on the screen at the moment. Agonisingly close to getting our first round 1 victory since 2012. We're probably in front for 95% of the game, I imagine, Pardo, but Bendigo Pioneers, to their credit, played a really, really good last quarter and just ran over the top of us. Yeah,
certainly that last quarter, a lot of uncontested marks for the Bendigo Pioneers. We just weren't able to run with them, Sean, turned the footy over a bit, a few mistakes, and you can't do that TAC Cup, and the end result is 1 point defeat.
It is indeed. Some really good signs though, I suppose. The first time these guys have played together as a team for very much, and some really good signs, especially a couple of our top age players leading by example. Tom Berry was fantastic for the 2.5 quarters that he was on the ground. Charlie Wilson was really, really good, showed another side of his game, but good to see some of our bottom age players in our TAC Cup debutants really performing well as well, with Mitch Martin, Braden Hellier and Toby Marnie and our best players.
Yeah, we're really happy with those boys. Mitch Martin took an absolute screamer there one time, Sean. We might even see that on the screen. And look, it was a pleasing effort by the young boys, but we just need a few more boys to step up and have more contributors, Sean. I think we look at the stats, there's not many blokes that get over double figures sometimes, so it's all about possessions, what we do with them as well, Sean. But yeah, we got beat on the stats board as well.
We did indeed. Time to regroup. We'll talk about round 2 later on, but also in action on the weekend, Pardo, the under-16 development squad, the first round of the AFL Victoria Under-16 Country Challenge Series, and a good win against the Bendigo Pioneers, and really scores on the screen at the moment. And the last quarter, things were looking tied up, and Jamari Ugle-Hagan kind of took the game into his own hands and kicked a pair of really handy goals to get us over the line.
Yeah, very much a special talent, Ugle-Hagan, so we're happy with the boys. They don't train together, Sean, either, so from the vast distance of travel we've got. So that was the first time the boys have played together, basically. But they're a special bunch, and they've been really well coached by Damien Ross and Wayne Sharp. So we're looking forward to see how they go this week.
And they've got a big game this week as well on Good Friday as part of the TAC Cup Festival of Football down in Geelong that we'll touch on very, very shortly. But before we do, Pardo, it's time to reintroduce our Mars Player of the Day segment into Rebels TV for 2018, now that we're in action. And the round 1 Mars Player of the Day, you mentioned him before, fantastic debut game for the Rebels, Mitch Martin.
Just a lot of poise about him, Sean, knows what the goals are, and takes the game on as well. For a young developing type player, is really good.
Well, let's see if he's got that same poise in front of the cameras as we have a look at our Mars Player of the Day for round 1, Mitch Martin. We're here with our Mars Player of the Day for round 1, Mitch Martin. Fair old game on debut, mate. Welcome to TAC Cup footy.
Yeah, thanks, Shawnee. Yeah, it was a good game, first half, and second half we dropped off, and yeah, then we lost by a point. But we'll assess that and we'll improve for next week.
How did you find it, your first game of TAC Cup footy on an AFL venue? Did it take you 5 or so minutes just to kind of settle the nerves and settle the excitement a bit?
Yeah, exactly. Not every week I get to play on here, so yeah, TAC Cup's really good footy. It develops your footy a lot, and yeah, it was really good.
Your confidence grew throughout the game. You could see that from watching the game as well, where you really kind of eased into the standard of the game, and I suppose once you got the tempo of it, you started to really pick it up and run with it, so to speak.
Yeah, just taking the opportunities as a half forward.
Took your opportunity very nicely. We've seen it already on Rebels TV this week, but the highlight reel from the day, the big mark in the forward line. More importantly though, you had the composure to go back and kick the goal after it.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it was good.
Good to get the highlight in the van. Now, Mars Player of the Day for round 1, Mitch Martin. Good luck next week against Geelong.
Thanks, Shawnee.
Mitch Martin, now round 1 Mars Player of the Day. He got a bit nervous towards the end of it. He said it was the first time he appeared in front of a camera, but if he keeps playing the way he did on the weekend, he'll get plenty of practice as the year goes on.
Yeah, he's one of those type of players, I think we'll be featuring over the next 2 years a bit in this segment.
He is indeed a fantastic player indeed. Inside 60, rave reviews last week. Having Inside 60 back on Rebels TV, Pardo, responsible for a fair few of the over 2,000 views that we got last week, and this week it'll be no different. Going Inside 60, thanks to the Yacht Club this week.
Who we got?
Charlie Wilson.
Well, the old Chuck. Well,
this will be interesting.
Well, it must have been on the weekend. We had the whole township of Warrack at the game, and another Warrack Footy Club here on a camp. But yeah, we had a few ex-players. Ryan McKenzie's the coach of Warrack, but to bring them to watch Chuck and a few boys play, and also Greg, because he coached Warrack, was a really good effort by the Warrack Footy Club.
So let's go Inside 60. Thanks to the Yacht Club with Charlie Wilson.
Chuck. Forward. Joel Selwood. Warrack Eagles Football Netball Club. Inspirational. Jake Lyman. Cody Lindsay. Jaden Wright, because he never stops talking. Dad. Rebels debut. Flynn Appleby. Sam Welsh.
Inside 60 with Charlie Wilson. He's a cheeky little one off the field, so we're kind of expecting that that'd be good. And I think he's delivered.
Did you have his man bun in, Sean?
No, I told him to take it out for it.
That's good.
Yes, we needed that gone completely from Rebels TV. Time to change tack and talk TAC Cup Girls, Pardo, and weren't they fantastic on the weekend, our TAC Cup Girls team? Their first win for the year and a really clinical four-quarter performance against the Bendigo Pioneers.
The improvement of the girls the last 6 weeks has been enormous, Sean, even from last year, and to see the way they play the game, and they take the game on too, Sean, which I really... But the most thing I like about it is the enthusiasm.
Yep.
Reece Carr, new coach, new first game win for Reece, which is fantastic for him, but just see the enthusiasm of the girls at the end of the game singing the song. Just love the Rebels, it's great.
They do indeed. It's time to talk TAC Cup Girls, as we do every week, with our female talent coordinator, Krista Woodruff. So let's bring her in and have a chat about all things TAC Cup Girls. Welcome back to Rebels TV. TAC Cup Girls time here on Rebels TV, and you can probably hear the party still going on in the background after the girls' first win of the season. Tell us all about it. We welcome back into the studio our female talent coordinator, Krista Woodruff. Welcome back, Krista.
Thanks, Sean. As usual, pleasure to be here.
Much bigger smile on the face this week too, after, as we see on the screen at the moment, the girls brought up their first win on the weekend, a 27-point win against the Bendigo Pioneers, and really pleasing that it was a really good four-quarter effort by the girls as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's always good to come away with a win, especially after the first round. So the girls were excited to go out there, although it was a little bit wet to start with.
It was indeed. The rain came down at about 8:30 and didn't stop until I think the end of your game. So yeah, it was an interesting day in that regard, and I suppose that's why kicking 6 goals for the day was an even more credible performance.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's a credit to the girls. Even from the start of the game when the rain came down, and none of the girls showed any signs of worry or anything like that. They were more excited to go out there, and credit to Mars Stadium. It's a pretty amazing venue, and I didn't even see much of the rain come off the ground over the course of the day. So it was good brand of footy, and the girls did well to come away with a win.
Drains away pretty well. I'm not quite sure about the girls hiding under the interchange bench at quarter time though. For Kari's quarter time address, standing underneath the interchange bench, I thought, oh come on mate, it's a bit precious of you.
It's early in the season. It's still summer to these girls, so they've got to get used to the wet weather.
Mightn't take too much longer as well, and some standout performances on the weekend. Georgia Clark, her best game of the season so far, and showed us why she's really one of those top prospects that AFL women's recruiters could be looking at the end of the year.
Yeah, definitely. Georgia had a really strong performance coming off half back, and having an element of playing loose as well, which was really good. And it just allowed our midfielders that bit of space to run onto the footy, and in such tough conditions, having those experienced players like Georgia and Sophie Molan and Alabibi and that step up in a game like this. It really excites the other girls and gets them to play some good footy.
You mentioned Sophie Molan, a bit of a role change for her this week, going down forward. Obviously has done some fantastic work in the back line for us last year and even pushing up into the midfield a little bit this year, but went forward, really gave the girls a target to kick to and ended up kicking a couple of goals herself on the day.
Yeah, it's just showing her versatility. We tried it last week, but unfortunately it didn't come up trumps with the wind and the conditions of the week before. But Sophie's really experienced in the wet weather footy and has some great skills, and her ability to break open a game from a backline perspective is really good for us. So to have her in the forward line and such a neat kick at goal as well. So it's really good for us to have that opportunity. This week coming, not this weekend, because the next game isn't until Tuesday, would you believe? The girls get the entire Easter weekend off, but given the school holidays, there's that little bit of a break in the schedule, so the girls are fronting up on Tuesday, and it's 2 games of footy happening as well, because we've got the TAC Cup Girls game, which we'll touch on shortly, but also an Under-16 Futures game. Tell us about that concept. Yeah, so it's pretty exciting, TAC Cup this year. We've got the Futures, so the under-16 side. It's allowed us to give those younger girls a bit more of an opportunity over the course of the season. Not only those girls in our squad of 35, but also we've got 14 girls outside of that squad that will come in, train with the girls, do the full training session for the week, and then we'll pick our 2 squads from there. Fantastic work. So we may see some girls that have already played TAC Cup Girls that qualify for the Futures game playing in that first game? Yeah, definitely, and it'll give those older girls a bit more of an opportunity as well. Maybe those girls that haven't yet had the opportunity to play. It'll give everyone a chance to have a go on the Tuesday and hopefully play some good footy. Oh, exciting times in the TAC Cup Girls game, as we mentioned, round 4 of the competition. Coming up against the Northern Knights up in South Morang at the Mill Park Recreation Reserve, I think it is. I'm not 100%, it's on the screen at the moment, so I'll be able to double check it there, but I'm going off the top of my head. But a good test for the girls against a Metro side, one that's on top of the ladder, that's been playing some good footy. However, our girls, you saw it on Saturday that they're starting to click and things are starting to come together. A couple of potential wins that could make a bit of a difference with Sophie van der Heuvel maybe to come back in, and perhaps the Cara sisters as well, which would really change the structure of the lineup. Yeah, definitely. I think we watched a bit of the game first round with Northern Knights there, and they look like a pretty tight outfit, very fit and play footy pretty similar to us. So if the conditions are right and the girls, after having a good win this weekend, hopefully bring that into the game and can, maybe slot a second win together. And I suppose before we go, a shout out to one of the girls from our region as well, Emma Carney, who was crowned earlier in the week as the AFL Women's Best and Fairest Player for season 2018. Leading the Bulldogs to a premiership as well. Great to see a local girl really scale the highest of heights in the AFL Women's competition. Yeah, definitely. Emma's a very strong person on and off the field, and very well deserved for her and very well deserved for the Western Bulldogs. Wasn't it indeed? That's all the time we've got for TAC Cup Girls segment this week. Next week, make sure you're watching. We're going inside 60 with 1 or 2 of the girls next week. We'll also have the Mars Player of the Day from the TAC Cup Girls game against the Northern Knights. So, bit of content coming up for the girls, Krista. Something to look forward to for next week's show. Yeah, looking forward to it. And we're looking forward to heading back out and seeing what's in store for the boys this weekend as we bring Pardo back into the studio and continue Rebels TV right after this. Krista Woodruff, our female talent coordinator, Pardo, and interesting that next fixture that she spoke about on a Tuesday afternoon up at Mill Park in South Morang as well. So an interesting fixture coming in the school holidays.
We've got the under-16 Future Girls coming too that day, Sean, to play a game, one of 2 games for the year, and then round 3 against the Northern Knights. Looking forward to against a Metro team as well. See how we're going. So Easter Tuesday as we call it, Sean. So hopefully the girls don't eat too much Easter eggs before the game, but hopefully have a good game in front of us.
Yeah, leave the Easter egg eating to myself and Pardo girls, because we've got that well and truly covered, thanks to our great friends at Mars who are looking after us as we speak. Turning our attention to this week, Pardo, and firstly, we mentioned it before, the Good Friday game with our under-16 side, taking on the Geelong Falcons down at Spring Creek Reserve in Torquay as part of the TAC Cup Festival of Football weekend.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to play in front of a big crowd, Sean. I think the Torquay Footy Club played Mottawarri before us, or after us, sorry. Looking forward, Easter Good Friday.
Yep.
So a lot of people down for the surfing and things like that too, Sean. So big crowd. And then on the Sunday, Sean, the Rebels play at GMHBA Stadium with Geelong Falcons. So another opportunity to play in an AFL venue against a really good team.
Yeah, we always tend to play the Falcons early in the season. It's been round 1 the last couple of years. It's round 2 this year. Could be a bit of a different story though. Obviously the Falcons, one of the benchmarks of the competition, reigning premiers in the TAC Cup, they had a round 1 loss on the weekend as well, and they'll be looking to hit back hard. But the signs we showed in practice matches against them a couple of weeks ago weren't too bad at all. And I reckon Greggy will go in fairly confident.
No, I think it'll be a competitive game. They'll be better than the last time we played them, and so will we be. So looking forward to a big deck, Sean, and great service for the boys to play on. And I suppose the boys from the last week will get a bit of confidence, but want to turn the result around.
A couple of injury concerns coming out of the weekend. Angus Gove and Thomas Berry didn't see the game out. I know we're only early in the week, but how have they been assessed early on in the week, and is there any danger that either one of those may miss this week?
We'll see how they go at training. Angus Gove received a fairly severe corky, and young Thomas Berry hit the point post really, really hard, Sean, and a bit worried about kidney damage and things like that, so there's no risk with player welfare first all the time. So he probably could have gone back on, but we weren't prepared to do that for him, and we'll see how he recovers this week. I know those two boys are super professional with the rehab side of it, so they'll give themselves the best opportunity to play on Sunday.
Yeah, they will indeed. And of course, if you can't make it down to GMHBA Stadium, that's easy for you to say, on Sunday because you're eating too many Easter eggs or you've got family gatherings or anything like that, keep it tuned to our Rebels social media. We'll have goal-by-goal updates on Twitter and quarter-by-quarter updates on Instagram and Facebook so that you won't miss any of the action. And then after the game, this week it's going to happen. We apologise it didn't happen last week and we had to hold it off until Sunday morning. Coach's Corner, live, 30 minutes after the game at GMHBA Stadium. We'll chat with Mark Gregg live. You can put your questions in. Should be very exciting.
There's a smile on the coach's face, Sean.
Let's hope so as well. And thank you also. There's a lot of Rebels video programming this week gone past Pardo. We had our highlight reel yesterday on Tuesday where I reckon for the 80th time this week we saw Mitch Martin's mark come in at number 1 on the highlight reel. We had Roman with the Rebels on Monday, which was interesting. It'll be interesting to see some feedback from that one. It's something that we tried for this week. Whether we continue it, I suppose, is dependent on the feedback that we got. So we may have that this week. Keep an eye out for it just in case. Pardo, that's all the time we've got on Rebels TV this week. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Sean. Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to seeing you down at GMHBA Stadium on Sunday. If not, we'll be back here on Rebels TV Wednesday, 6 p.m. next week. We'll see you then.